Okay, and then we will go into more detail on on the argument outline and on the drafting workshop. But as we get started just in brainstorming, I think it's often helpful to have a few tips and guidelines for how you're going to compose your paper in mind to help you sort of structure that brainstorm as it comes. So for this paper, we are, as with all college essays, you're going to want to follow that same format for using a thesis statement that really unifies your whole argument. And you'll develop that with topic sentence claims that help you focus your evaluation on specific subtopics. And then you'll support those claims by interpreting, analyzing, and critiquing specific speech patterns that you find. But this time we're going to practice more of an extensive introduction and conclusion process to make sure that you can really introduce your argument, synthesize and connect to that existing scholarly conversation, and then provide like an overview of the key ideas from your paper to help orient your reader. Those are three things that are required for the assignment prompt. So in this paper, we will focus on ways to build up your introduction to sort of incorporate all three of those elements. So your first paragraph will be like an introduction to your argument, just exactly how it was in your last essay number 1. So you should introduce the hook, which generates reader interest, and then you should present your argument outline and your thesis. There's 2 different ways that we can do this. You can present your argument inductively, where you'll summarize the types of evidence and the subtopics and claims and lead up to your thesis statement. Or you can present it deductively, where you will present your thesis statement and then kind of saying the claims and the evidence. So like, this is what I think, here's the reasons why. Versus the inductive method, which is like, here's some observations and ideas, and this is what it amounts to. So you can, depending on your personal style, whichever one is more comfortable, you can think about presenting it that way, those ways. And then I have a tip coming off of the essay number 1. I think it would be better to try and avoid these mechanical kinds of statements, which read like, I will interpret and analyze examples of slang and casual metaphors to claim that marijuana subculture is fixated on images of destruction. So if you wanted to take the marijuana using subculture as your speech community, and your evaluation is that, their language focuses on destruction. Instead of saying what you will do in your paper and what it will mean in that kind of formulaic way, try something that's a little bit more natural, a little bit more, I don't know if it's more sophisticated, but it's at least a little bit more natural, at least to my eyes. So try out a statement that's more like, slang and metaphors regarding drug use in the marijuana subculture reveal a fixation on images of destruction. So one is like, this is what I will write and this is what it will mean. And the other one is just saying as if it's a fact. I think the second one is a little stronger. It's a little more forceful. And then after you represent your argument, you're going to present your context. So you're going to choose at least 3 readings that have some kind of connection that bear on your topic. And then just talk about how they're connected to one another. We're going to continue to practice that they say, I say kind of link. So first you'll describe, what authors have been talking about, and then you'll link that to your own ideas. So here's kind of an example paragraph of what a context synthesis might look like. It's a little vague because it just uses examples, but if you read along, I underlined sort of like ideas that you can replace depending on what speech community you want to look at. And just following along from the first example, we'll continue to pretend that this is an example that analyzes the marijuana using subculture. So authors A, B, and C all explore questions of social reality and linguistic determinism. For example, in text X, author A questions the idea of, and then you would say maybe like linguistic background or social styles of speech. Similarly, in text Y, author B applies that idea of, social or linguistic background, social styles of speech, whatever it was, to questions about the conditions of maybe it's social reality, if you're using, honestly, if you're using any of them. But community might be a good topic to say that it's connected to. On the other hand, in text Z, author C is more concerned with discovering how blank operates. So maybe one of these three authors had something that was a little bit different about them. So point out that difference. This conversation offers interesting insight into the overall topic. So you choose whichever overall topic you want to talk about. Hopefully you'll be able to connect it to as your overall topic. It could be how language use impacts worldview for speech communities, something like that. The way I see it, so switching from they say to I say, the way I see it, looking closely at the language habits of a drug-using subculture can give us a unique perspective on the social reality of recreational drug users. For example, we can see how author A and B's ideas about a certain concept, so to choose a concept, slang, social styles, whatever you're using, from, and then choose a context, so summarize what the context they are talking about. Was it 20th century society? Was it prison context? Something like that. Function in the changing modern world, and this is where you're linking it to what I say. So their context, my context. The changing modern world of increased addiction and dependence. Additionally, it seems that linguistic determinism, or at least relativism, enforces a fixed mindset about, and then lists the concepts that you're going to cover. So like in your subtopics, destruction, waste, abuse, etc. For people who regularly use, and then tell the language styles that you're going to talk about. So this example essay that's outlined here would talk about idioms, metaphors, and verbs, or verb phrases. So it enforces a fixed mindset about destruction, waste, and abuse for people who regularly use idioms, metaphors, and verb phrases without critically examining the deeper implications. This is why it is so important to uncover the deeper meaning behind these seemingly playful or harmless everyday metaphors and images embedded in the language habits of the speech community. Their language can obscure and gloss over the potential for long-term risks and dangers, so it should be changed to become less figurative and more literal. So that's linking it back to the overall critique. So in your context overview paragraph, you'll synthesize what they are talking about, and you would use quotes, and this example doesn't use quotes. You would use quotes from the sources. Then you would link it to what you're talking about. So how do you use their ideas in your topic? And then you would link it back to your thesis statement, which is your overall critique or evaluation. And then there might be a short paragraph, like paragraph 3, or this content and information can also be included in paragraph 2. So like the context introduction could also introduce the key words and terms that you're going to use, depending on how you bring it together. So it doesn't have to be 3 introduction paragraphs. It could be 2. So concept application should be a paragraph where you explore the ideas of speech community, linguistic determinism, and critical thinking by quoting and responding to the sources from class, and linking those ideas to how they can be found in your own topic. So like I said a minute ago, that can be all done in the same number 2 paragraph, but you'll want to make sure that you're talking about specific keywords from the articles. So that was another long segment, but it was the last one. So if you have any questions about those ideas about composing your paper with that argument introduction and then the context introduction, please share those ideas below. Or if you just want to share any additional ideas that are coming to mind about what speech community you might want to look at, what details you might want to explore in those speech communities, please scroll back up to the appropriate sort of segment to share those topics. All right, you guys, hang in there.